In Gone Girl, Nick Dunne lives a quiet life in North Carthage, Missouri, with his wife Amy. But one morning, something disturbing happens. Amy suddenly disappears without a trace. At first, it looks like a kidnapping. But as the investigation moves forward, the evidence begins pointing somewhere unexpected. And by the end of the story, the truth behind Amy's disappearance changes everything. In this video, we'll break down the full story of Gone Girl and explain the shocking truth behind Amy's disappearance. More importantly, we'll explore why the characters made the choices they did and what the story is really saying about media manipulation and toxic relationships. Nick Dunne is a former writer living in the small town of North Carthage, Missouri. After losing their jobs in New York during the financial crisis, Nick and his wife Amy moved to his hometown to start a quieter life. Amy is not just anyone. She is the inspiration behind a famous children's book series called Amazing Amy, created by her parents. Growing up in the shadow of that fictional, perfect version of herself has shaped her entire identity. At first, Nick and Amy seem like the perfect couple. But over time, their marriage begins to crack. Financial struggles, resentment, and emotional distance slowly turn their relationship cold. Then, on the morning of their 5th wedding anniversary, Nick returns home to find the front door open. Inside the house, furniture is overturned. There are signs of a struggle, and Amy is gone. Nick calls the police, and the case immediately becomes a major investigation. The entire town begins searching for Amy, and soon the story spreads across the national news. But from the very beginning, something feels off. Because as detectives start digging deeper into the couple's life, the evidence slowly begins to paint Nick in a very suspicious light. The investigation quickly reveals troubling details about Nick and Amy's marriage. Detective Rhonda Boney begins questioning Nick about the state of their relationship. His answers are awkward and sometimes inconsistent. Then the police discover something even more suspicious. Amy had been keeping a secret diary. In the diary entries, Amy describes how their relationship slowly became frightening. She writes about arguments, emotional abuse, and the growing fear of Nick. To investigators and the public watching on television, the diary tells a clear story. Amy may have been in danger long before she disappeared. At the same time, Nick's behavior only makes things worse. During a press conference, he smiles awkwardly for the cameras beside Amy's missing poster. The photo goes viral, and suddenly the media begins portraying him as a cold and uncaring husband. Soon, the investigation uncovers another secret. Nick has been having an affair with a younger woman named Andy. When this information becomes public, the entire country turns against him. To the outside world, the story now seems obvious. A cheating husband, a failing marriage, and a missing wife. Nick Dunne begins to look exactly like the kind of man who would murder his spouse. But as the case builds against him, the story takes a shocking turn. Because hidden beneath all the clues, accusations, and media speculation is a truth far stranger than anyone imagined. But none of these clues reveal the real truth. Because the real truth behind Gone Girl is something the audience, and even the characters, never expected. The shocking truth is that Amy staged her own disappearance. She carefully designed the entire crime scene to frame Nick for her murder. For months, Amy secretly planned every detail. She wrote fake diary entries describing an abusive marriage. She created financial evidence that made it appear Nick was preparing to run away with another woman. She even injured herself and spilled her own blood in the kitchen to create a fake murder scene. Then she vanished. Her goal was simple: destroy Nick's life completely. But Amy's plan is not just about revenge, it's about control. She wants to become the ultimate victim in a national tragedy, the perfect missing wife whose story captivates the entire country. This completely changes how every earlier event in the story should be understood. This revelation exposes something deeply unsettling about both Amy and Nick. Amy is obsessed with the idea of perfection. Her entire life has been defined by the pressure of living up to the fictional character Amazing Amy, a flawless version of herself created by her parents. Because of this, Amy views relationships as performances rather than genuine emotional connections. When her marriage with Nick begins to fall apart, she does not simply accept the failure. Instead, she rewrites the story. By staging her own disappearance, Amy transforms herself into the ultimate tragic heroine, a woman betrayed by the husband she once loved. Nick, on the other hand, is not innocent either. He becomes trapped in Amy's plan because of his own flaws: dishonesty, selfishness, and emotional distance. In many ways, both characters have been pretending throughout their entire marriage. This reveals something important about Nick. His actions, and Amy's, are driven by the illusion of perfect relationships. They are not just trying to love each other. They are trying to perform the role of a perfect couple. Beyond the mystery, Gone Girl explores a deeper idea about media manipulation and toxic relationships. The film shows how easily public perception can be shaped by media narratives. As the story unfolds, the public forms strong opinions about Nick and Amy based entirely on television interviews, headlines, and speculation. The truth becomes less important than the story people want to believe. But the film also asks a darker question about relationships themselves. How well can two people truly know each other? Nick and Amy entered their marriage pretending to be ideal partners, but eventually those performances collapsed under the pressure of reality. By the end of the story, they are no longer pretending. Instead, they accept the twisted version of their relationship that remains. And that is what makes the ending so unsettling, because it suggests that sometimes the most dangerous relationships are not the ones built on hatred, but the ones built on illusion. Subscribe to Film Unboxed for more movie explanations.